Now, Buddhaya. We all know that forgiving is difficult, right? It is easier said than done. Now, even in forgiving, it is very easy to forgive for the mistakes that other people have done to us. But it is really, really difficult to forgive for our own mistakes, for the mistakes that we have done in the past, right? And so many people, most of us worry about the things that has happened in the past, about the things that we said in the past, about how we act in the past, how we lived in the past. And we get stuck in these mistakes and we waste a lot of time, right? But the Buddha teaches us a way to look at these mistakes and how to move on and how to move through them and how to grow through them. So from this video, we are going to discuss about how can we deal with the mistakes that we have done in the past and how can we correct them and how can we deal with them. So I want to share with you how the Buddha advised for the monks who have done mistakes and how they got the advice to deal with it. So the Buddha says, Buddhissa bhikkhu ariyassa vinaye yo acchayang acchayato disva yatha dhammang patikaroti ayathing sangvarang apajati. The Buddha says, for it is growth in the training of nobles to recognize a mistake for what it is, deal with it properly, and commit to restrain in the future. So the Buddha says, the first step of understanding and first step of dealing with a mistake that has done in the past is to accept it, to see the mistake as it is, to see the wrong thing as a wrong thing. This is called acceptance. Now, one of the most difficult things for us to do is to accept that we have done mistakes. Why? Because there is something that hurt us in our mind, right? It is a really big problem, and that is nothing but the ego. We always think, okay, we are right, we are correct, and I will never do mistakes. But the reality is, we all are humans, we all have imperfections, we all have defilements in our minds, so that we make mistakes, right? There's a saying that says, as long as you make mistakes, you are human. So understand, you're a human and you make mistakes, and the nature of your mind is to make wrong choices, wrong things, and do the mistakes. For that, you're okay with it, right? So that you understand the nature of your life, that I'm a human and I make mistakes, so you accept it. When you accept it, you don't hate yourself. Now the problem is not the mistake. The problem is worrying about it, brooding over it, holding on to it, and wishing that, I wish I couldn't do that. I wish I didn't say that. No, I wish I didn't act like that. So that we waste a long, long time, right? A valuable time that we can use to create something better for our life. So that the Buddha says, accept the mistake, right? Accept that you have done the mistake. Remember, acceptance is the first step of healing, right? Acceptance is the first step of healing, so that you don't hate yourself, so that you are not in war with yourself. Now you open up your mind to move on. So the Buddha says, see the wrong thing as a wrong thing, right? See the mistake as a mistake and accept that you have done it. So the first step of dealing with a past mistake or wrong thing that you have done in the past is to accept it. So after accepting, now what to do? The Buddha says, now reveal it to someone who can understand you, right? Confess it. How to do that? You find someone who can understand you, right? Who can give you a good advice and who doesn't judge you, and say to him that I did this mistake, right? This mistake was happened from me. Now, why should you confess it? Now, when you confess it, you're sharing what is inside you with someone who can understand you. Okay, there are many good things when you confess, One thing is that your mind become free, right? Because after doing a mistake, if a mistake had happened, one thing that keep criticizing us is our mind, ourself, right? So that understand, when you confess, you can free your mind, right? Your heart is not complaining you, so that you opened up yourself, right? That is one good thing that happens when you confess. And also you get good advice from them, how to deal with it. Sometimes for some problems we cannot deal with alone, right? You don't have to deal with each and every problem alone, right? You can ask for help. One thing that it is really difficult to do is to ask for helps, right? But if we ask it, the helps will be given from the right people, right? That is why the Buddha says, do not go around saying your mistakes to everyone, but find at least one person, right? We all can find at least one person who can understand us, who doesn't judge us from our mistakes, and also who can give us good advice. Okay, that is the good thing about having noble friends around you. Okay, so the Buddha says, confess it. Open up yourself to someone who is very wise and who can give you advice. And then the Buddha says, the next step is to take right actions to not to happen it again, not to make that mistake again and again. So the Buddha says, Yatha dhammang patikaroti, I think sangvarang apajati, to be restrained in the future, to not to do that mistake and not to make that mistake happen again and again. And that is why they say that 100 times the same mistake is regression, right? If you do the same mistake 100 times, then there is no development, right? But 100 times different mistakes is progression, right? We will do thousands and thousands of mistakes in this life, but from every mistake, if we take the decision to not to happen it again, right? And you learn from it. And you will make mistakes again and again, but you learn from them. Understand that every difficult situation, every mistake that you make in life is a great lesson. But the problem is, we think that we should not be making mistakes, we should not be doing wrong things, and we think that we will be perfect forever. But in reality, we are not. So that acceptance, confession, and taking right action to not to it happen again is the way to deal with the mistakes. Understand, as long as you are human, I will say this again, as long as you are human, you will make mistakes. Accept them, confess them, and then take right action to not do it to happen again, so that you can learn from your mistakes and you can grow through them. Keep this in your mind. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. No matter how good we are, no matter how talented we are, there are certain times in life we are going to make mistakes. We are going to mess things up in life. In such times, one of the most common things that we do is we hate ourselves. And this self-hatred can end up in serious situations like suicide. See how many times we say, I love you to someone. How often we say, we say it often, right? But how often we say, I love myself. I appreciate who I am. This is something that we don't do oftenly. See, in Buddhist practice, the first step of spreading love and kindness is to practice love and kindness, or spread love and kindness to yourself. So the Buddha saw that without being filled with self-love and self-kindness, you cannot be kind to someone else. So that is why we have to learn how to be kind and how to love ourselves without hating ourselves. So from this video, I'm going to be sharing with you few things that we have to understand And we have to practice to stop hating ourselves and to start appreciating and loving our life. Number 1, do not believe in labels. See, there are lots of labels that we have put on ourselves. For an example, your name. Your name is a label that was given by maybe your parents, and everyone start to call from that name, and it became your personality. It became who you are. Okay? Same like that, we are so good at labeling ourselves with our imperfections, with our mistakes, or with our incapabilities. But here's the thing, the more we label ourselves with our incapabilities, for an example, people say to themselves like, I am a person who is being angry all the time. Okay, I'm a person who has having a weak mindset. I'm a person who is lazy all the time. Okay, I don't have any friends. I'm not getting in with friends. Okay, I cannot be with these people. So the more you label like that yourself, it becomes your personality. And that is why we should not believe in the labels that we put on ourselves. Why? Because a label or your incapabilities or your weaknesses or your mistakes are just a thought pattern, and it is always can be changed. Okay, you can always improve, and that is why we should not label ourselves with our incapabilities and our mistakes or from our weaknesses. We always have the chance to improve and to evolve. Number 2, learn to accept mistakes. Mistakes are the proof that says that we are trying in life and we are not willing to give up on ourselves. Every great person in this world has made mistakes, and they have learned from their mistakes, and that is how they evolved, and that is how they achieved the greatness. Always remember, the mistakes will never define your character unless you define your character with your mistakes. So do not let your mistakes to define your character. Always you have the chance to improve and move on and make yourself a good person and improve yourself. Believe in it. Number 3, stop criticism. This is something that is very important that we have to focus on in loving ourselves. Stop criticizing yourself. Stop criticizing others. Now here I'm not talking about the constructive criticism. I'm talking about the negative criticism. Okay? Do not criticize others, and also do not criticize yourself. Okay? Why we should not criticize others? To put others down? In each and every time when we criticize someone, we give the message to our mind that we are better than them. Okay, I am perfect than them. And you set standards to yourself. Most of the time, these are not realistic standards. Okay, and when we cannot live up to our own standards, what happens to us? We hate ourselves. And that is how criticism steals the self-love and the self-value. And that is why we should not criticize anyone. And number 4, believe that imperfection is beautiful. Just take a deep breath and look into this nature. Everything has that one nature that is the imperfection. From the little plant to the great mountain, everything is imperfect. Right? There is no perfectly symmetrical plant in this world. There is no perfectly symmetrical mountain in this world. Everything has the imperfection. And as humans, we also imperfect human beings. Okay? And also that gives the chance, it gives the chance for us to evolve. It gives the chance for us to be more productive and be more successful. See, becoming successful and becoming happy is not a destination. It is not a perfection, right? It is always a journey. We have to keep improving ourselves. We have to keep becoming successful, becoming happy. It is a journey that we go through in this life. So when you accept the imperfections, no matter how good we are, no matter how talented we are, no matter how great we are, there will be always imperfections in life. When we accept it, we can focus our kindness and our love towards ourselves. And also, every single day, this is something that you can practice. When you wake up in the morning, just sit on the bed and think, no matter how imperfect I am, no matter what mistake that I do in my life, I'm not going to give up on myself, right? I keep improving myself. I keep making myself a good person, a happier person, and I will never let go of myself. This is not something that is called selfishness. Selfishness is expecting many unrealistic things from yourself, right? And then when you're not up to your standards, you start to hate yourself. And that is why when you truly love yourself, truly love your imperfections, and truly love who you are and accept who you are, you get the chance to improve and you get the chance to evolve. And these are the things that we have to keep in mind in order to practice the self-love and improve the self-value. So keep practicing these things and make your life happier and healthier. Namo Buddhaya.